Ghost in the Shell is a Japanese manga series created by Masamune Shirow that was serialized between 1989 to 1991 in Young Magazine. It's categorized as part of the cyberpunk subgenre of science fiction, which was popular throughout the 1980s. Sci-fi has its roots in Europe, with writers such as H.G. Wells and Mary Shelley drawing upon evolutionary literature as well as science. As a genre, it has been used to comment upon contemporary issues, often using metaphors such as aliens, robots, and technology in general as a representation of modern society. Cyberpunk tends to literalize or actualize what in postmodernist fiction occurs as metaphor. Its settings are typically a futuristic dystopia in which technological achievements pose a threat to humanity. Its narratives often deal with cyberterrorism, cybercrime, humanity, and the future. As the new millennium was approaching, cyberpunk captured readers of science fiction as it presented a new vision of a visionless world. This fascination with the future of technology would progress into the 90s, which created the perfect opportunity for the manga to be adapted. An anime feature-length film was created in 1995, which combined traditional cell animation with new CGI techniques to create a futuristic Neo-Tokyo similar to that of Tatsuhiro Otomo's Akira, released a few years prior. Despite being a box office failure at the time, Ghost in the Shell developed a cult following, with the Wachowskis using it as an inspiration for The Matrix, and director James Cameron also praising the film by calling it a stunning piece of speculative fiction. When a live-action version was announced, it had many fans excited for what was to come. However, it was quickly met with criticism once the lead actress was revealed to be Scarlett Johansson, with many calling the film racist and accusing it of whitewashing. As the popularity of Hollywood cinema has increased, it has transcended just being a national cinema and has become globalized. It's no surprise that each year the films at top of the box office are Hollywood productions. In fact, the top 25 highest grossing films of all time are all created in Hollywood. But historically, as Quinn states, ethnic minority characters were represented in films through stereotypical regimes that reinforced white dominance. The live-action remake of Ghost in the Shell, released in 2017, directed by Rupert Sanders, received mixed reception, with criticisms directed towards its handling of Asian culture and the casting of Scarlett Johansson. She takes on the Japanese role of Motoko Kusanagi, a cyborg human working against cybercrime. As a white woman, it was particularly offensive to those believing Hollywood would give the opportunity to somebody Japanese. The film tries to circumvent this by subverting away from the source material. It's revealed that the Kusanagi in this film is a reconstruction from a deceased Japanese girl. She has a Japanese mother, and the two reconcile once the truth is revealed. The Hollywood scriptwriters deemed the best way to address the whitewashing concerns was to reveal that Kusanagi used to be Japanese, and now she has been turned white. But by doing so, they inadvertently have created a reading of the film in which this can be considered racist. Why was she reconstructed as a white woman? What significance does it serve for her race to change? The film never addresses this and makes the casting of Johansson one of star power rather than respect for the source material and culture. As comics and films are vastly different mediums, it can be difficult for a true adaptation in which nothing is changed. Adaptation theorists have written that the power of the comic medium is to display the unbelievable or intangible, which can be challenging for cinema. Ghost in the Shell follows a similar storyline to its source material, but as previously mentioned, it differs with the character of Kusanagi. In the original, the focus of her characterization is on her future in the world. She has been beaten and her robotic limbs have been destroyed so much that she barely exists in her original human form. However, she remains confident that deep inside her, her soul has survived. The original centers around the theme of what's human and what isn't, and how these robotic life forms situate alongside humanity. It's similar to Blade Runner in that regard, another film produced during the cyberpunk boom with a strong Asian aesthetic. However, Johansson's Kusanagi is concerned with her past more so than anything else, making the story more individualistic than its source material. While they both deal with themes regarding humanity, the original tries to resolve much broader issues that concern the world at large, while the remake focuses on one character's life. And while Johansson may get her answers regarding who she is, it does not feature the same existentialism that made the 1995 version so appealing. The original anime film draws heavy inspiration from Hong Kong and John Woo's cinema. It created a hybrid city known as Neo-Tokyo, which was replicated in the live-action remake. Though Rupert Sanders is obviously not Japanese and has no experience creating Asian fiction, his adaptation is faithful in this way. It features on-location shooting from places such as the Suenwan Cemetery and the Montaigne Mansion in Quarry Bay to present an authentic experience. There are a few scenes in which Kusanagi turns invisible while jumping off buildings, representing how her robot body has become one with the rampant technology throughout the city. Despite this, it often feels like the Japaneseness is used as a commodity, and at times there is an element of cultural appropriation. For example, there are many times in the film in which characters will switch between English and Japanese, which provides a clunky subtitled sequence in which the words randomly appear around the screen with no real purpose. It makes it hard to read, and feels like it's only done because Japanese sounds cool. Furthermore, there are few Japanese actors in the film, but they don't really have any agency on the plot. Takeshi Kitano, famous for his acting and directorial credits, is the most notable. Besides him, most of the other Asian cast serve as background characters, with other characters mostly being from American or European backgrounds. As Olson writes, Hollywood has transcended geography and uses actors from different ethnic backgrounds for a broader appeal. While this is linked to the globalisation of Hollywood and the world in general due to the rise of technology, it does not shake the feeling that slapping the Japanese flag on a geisha robot's face is not the way to go about representing Japanese culture. This story, inspired by Hong Kong and Japan, would feel more authentic with a bigger Asian cast. Instead of a national identity being at the forefront of culture, many now feel stronger connections to their local roots, with microcultures becoming dominant. Therefore, when Hollywood takes an Asian story and fills it with white Americans and European actors, it creates a hybridization of national culture and identity. It views other foreign cultures as less dominant, and as Bell Hooks writes, ethnicity becomes a spice used to shake up mainstream white culture. The lack of a big Asian cast and the use of Johansson as Kusanagi represents the ever-changing world and how we are becoming globalized through technology. Therefore, a story such as Ghost in the Shell has been used to spice up the mainstream. It represents how the world has become more globalized, but certain cultures and ethnicities are still seen as something other, treating them like a spectacle used for profit instead of respect.